one day, this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slaves will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. One day.
That was Baker Man with I Have a Dream. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for January 11th through January 18th, 2021. Before we begin our review, family and police are looking for your help in finding a missing 15-year-old girl by the name of Litzy Rodriguez. Litzy was last seen on January 13th on 106th and Avenue H. She is 5 feet tall and weighs about 130 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information is asked to contact Area 2 detectives at 312-747-8274. And now, to the news. A shooting early Sunday morning, late Saturday, in East Chicago left 3 people wounded. Around 12:14 a.m., police responded to a shooting near the 2000 block of Broadway. Upon arrival, officers found a woman who had been shot. The woman, who is 32 years old, was found with a graze wound to her head. The woman was transported to St. Catherine's Hospital and last reported in stable condition. During an investigation, officers found that 2 men who were also struck in the shooting were dropped off at St. Catherine's. One man, aged 27, had a gunshot wound to his abdomen, and the other, a 23-year-old, had been shot in his left arm. Police describe all 3 as extremely uncooperative. Police found the person who had dropped the 2 men off and arrested him because of 2 active warrants. They identified him as 28-year-old Lonnie Taplier of Maryville. They recovered a 9mm pistol from his vehicle. Against the advice of doctors, the 23-year-old man left the hospital. On Saturday morning, a man was injured in another East Chicago shooting. Around 11:31 a.m., police responded to a shooting on the 3900 block of First Street. Officers arriving at the scene were told the man was transported to St. Catherine's Hospital. Upon arrival, they were told the 27-year-old Gary man had arrived with a wound to his neck. The wounds were considered non-threatening. The man refused to cooperate with police. Anyone with information on these Chicago crimes can leave an anonymous tip at 219-391-8500. On Thursday, a young teen boy was injured in a South Shore shooting. The shooting occurred near the 7400 block of South Kingston. The 14-year-old boy was in the hallway of a home when someone began firing shots. He was struck in the leg. He was taken to Comer Children's Hospital and last reported in good condition. Early Wednesday, late Tuesday, a crash between the East Side and Slag resulted in the death of 1 man and 3 other people being injured. According to police, around 12:30 a.m., a Hyundai Sonata was driving at a high speed on the 3300 block of East 100th Street. The driver of the vehicle, identified as a 35-year-old Alejandro Aguayo, was said to have lost control and crashed into a Ford Escape. The Ford Escape was traveling westbound when it was struck. Aguayo, who was from Hammond, reportedly passed at the scene from multiple injuries. A 26-year-old who was in the car with Aguayo was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center and last listed in good condition. A man who was in a Ford Escape and his passenger were also transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center. Both were last reported in good condition. Police say the crash was alcohol-related. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability, or COPA, announced on Wednesday the results of their investigation into a 2019 incident that occurred near 89th and Commercial in South Chicago. According to reports, in May of 2019, officers were arresting a man who they claim was in the middle of the street blocking traffic. According to reports, the officers handcuffed the man and struggled to get him in the squad car. The incident ended with one of the officers choking the handcuffed man in the back seat of the squad car. A civilian complaint was issued, but the CPD never notified COPA the use of force until over a month later. COPA recommended that the officer and 3 others be stripped of their powers for their involvement in the incident. The full report will not be available until the Chicago Police Board reviews them. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office previously refused to file any charges against the officers. In related news, 17 police officers who were caught on video relaxing in Congressman Bobby Rush's office while people were looting nearby stores have been suspended. Surveillance video from inside the congressman's Southside campaign office in the early morning hours of June 1st shows officers sitting around eating snacks from the congressman's office and napping. While the officers were chilling in the congressman's office, nearby stores were being looted and burned, according to Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. The congressman's office was looted on May 31st following widespread protest over police misconduct. The head of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police, John Catanzara, says the union will be challenging all of the suspensions. Catanzara told the Chicago Sun-Times reporter the union has filed grievances to challenge the suspensions he claimed were punishing officers who already secured the property and asked, quote, "What do you want people to do when there was nothing going on?" Catanzara also filed a complaint alleging unfair labor practices against 36 aldermen who demanded he resign following his comments supporting U.S. Capitol rioters. Catanzara has refused to resign but acknowledged he showed a lapse in judgment, but only after the National Fraternal Order of Police condemned his comments as a gross mischaracterization of the riots. Following the riots at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, police and federal agents have begun seeking out insurrectionists. The FBI has issued a wanted notice for several insurrectionists deemed violent, including one who left pipe bombs near the area. Anyone with information on any of these individuals is urged to contact the FBI at 1-800-225-5324. As of Sunday, over 125 people were arrested on various charges ranging from curfew violations to felonies related to theft and weapons possession. Among those who were arrested are several from Illinois. Among them was 48-year-old David Fitzgerald, a tattoo artist from Roselle, Illinois, about 30 miles northwest of Chicago. Fitzgerald, who was streaming the event, claims to have never entered the Capitol and was arrested for curfew violations.
All these leads about what happened. I know what happened. I saw people in there. That's not good. We even heard some people died. I'm like, what?
A North Suburban CEO from Inverness, Illinois, Bradley Ruxdales, was also arrested. Ruxdales was arrested for unlawfully entering a restricted building to impede government business and for violent entry, disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. The 52-year-old was fired from his position as a CEO for a company named Congencia out of Schaumburg. On Tuesday, a Chicago Heights man was arrested for threatening to commit violence during Joe Biden's inauguration. 45-year-old Louis Capriotti left voicemails for a House lawmaker from New Jersey threatening violence if Biden was inaugurated. He said, quote, "We will surround the motherfucking White House and we will kill any motherfucking Democrat that steps on the motherfucking lawn." Following threats by armed groups supporting the failed coup to support losing candidate Donald Trump, many state capitals were on lockdown in preparation for soon-to-be President Joe Biden's inauguration. Many state and federal officials began pulling in their National Guard to help in security efforts around Capitol buildings. This followed threats and calls to stop the inauguration by Trump supporters and armed right-wing militias following the Capitol siege. Despite the threats, as of Monday, most state capitol rallies by these groups have failed to materialize support. In all, the reported actions, only a handful of armed protesters have showed up, and their actions have mainly remained peaceful. In response to U.S. President Donald Trump's incitement of the failed coup, members of the House voted on Wednesday to impeach him. Lawmakers filed a single impeachment article that accused Trump of inciting violence against the government of the United States in an effort to overturn the election results.
This vote, the ayes are 232, the nays are 197. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
The article cites Trump's constant attempts to overturn and deny the results. Included are statements where he urged supporters to fight like hell and urged them to the U.S. Capitol. They also make mention of his efforts to pressure state officials to, quote, find votes to overturn the results before the attempted coup. Following Trump's impeachment, some members of the Republican Party announced their plans to retaliate by impeaching Joe Biden. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia announced that she would be introducing articles of impeachment against Biden as soon as he enters office for abuse of power. She said she will introduce the articles in regards to Biden's son's involvement with Chinese and Ukrainian companies.
We cannot have a president of the United States that is willing to abuse the power of the office of the presidency and be easily bought off by foreign governments, foreign Chinese energy companies, Ukrainian energy companies. So on January 21st, I will be filing articles of impeachment on Joe Biden.
Taylor Greene has been criticized in the past for her support for the wild and at times violent online conspiracy movement known as QAnon. QAnon is a movement founded on the belief that the U.S. Democratic Party is a satanic cult that runs an international ring of sex traffickers that eat babies. The conspiracy was created by members of an anonymous online troll board known as 4chan. a 4chaner claiming to be a super-secret government agent named Q alleged to work for Donald Trump. Some thank YouTube influencer Tracy Diaz for normalizing QAnon. Diaz picked up on the troll and began spreading it to what channers refer to as normies, as it helped her pick up and monetize a large following. A man by the name of Paul Ferber from South Africa, who founded the site 8chan, has claimed to be the original Q. Ferber claims Jim Watkins, who was also a mod of 4chan, and his son Ron took over posting Q drops after he sold 8chan to them. In other local news, Illinois Representative Chris Welch was voted in to replace former House Speaker Michael Madigan. Madigan, among the longest-serving and most powerful Illinois House speakers, recently came under fire after allegations of corruption and Democratic Party losses in the November 3rd election. After former lawmaker and Commonwealth Edison lobbyist Michael McLean's indictment for bribery, Madigan began losing influence. McLean and several others were indicted in a bribery scheme designed to gain Madigan's favor in exchange for his support for legislation favorable to ComEd. The indictments were seen as part of an investigation that targets Madigan. Welch will be the state's first African-American House Speaker. During the week, information also came out for proposed underground development on the former Republic Steel site on the east side by Ozinga. The company is proposing to build a massive 6 million square foot space underground beginning just north of 116th and Burley. Coalition of Band Petcock member and 10th Ward resident Alberto Rincon was hired as the Director of Community Planning for the project. According to Rincon, the company's aim is to bring economic opportunity to the area by housing businesses in the underground complex.
The ultimate goal is that economic opportunity, those benefits that come from this kind of a project will flow to the community and really benefit the local residents, families, and generations to come.
However, some Southeast Side residents have raised concerns over whether the proposal is just an attempt by Ozinga to mine limestone on the site. Limestone is a key ingredient in the concrete Ozinga sells. Currently, most of the concrete Ozinga obtains for the region comes from a Joliet site owned by a Swiss company, Lafarge Holcim. In 2011, Ozinga opened up a concrete processing facility in South Deering. The proposed project is being developed by an Ozinga-backed LLC calling itself the Invert.
The sustainability, this project is extremely unique in that a typical construction project usually takes and utilizes construction materials. This project, we're actually extracting material to create something, and you're still left with construction materials at the end of the day. So our goal is to achieve a net zero effect when it comes to construction materials for this project.
In other news, a notice to federal taxpayers. The federal government has delayed the start of tax filing season. The new start date will begin on February 12th. The deadline to file federal taxes this year is April 15th. Both Illinois and Indiana returned to their normal schedule and followed the federal due date. And finally, before we finish this week in review, we would like to take a moment to honor the life and memory of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Although many have attempted to exploit and capitalize on his memory, he will always serve as an inspiration and leader to all of us, whose life's work has helped us to enjoy the freedoms we have today. We hope that Dr. King can find peace despite the current state of our world in knowing that his memory has helped millions of us see we were traveling wrong. God's message was heard. His living was not in vain. And that ends our weekly review for January 11th through January 18, 2021. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.